So, today we're going to dive into an ancient story from the Jataka Tales, and it asks a question that might make you a little uncomfortable. Can trust actually be dangerous? It's a really powerful lesson about the risks that can hide in our closest relationships. Let's just put the main question right out there. Can the greatest trust hide the greatest danger? I know, it sounds kind of backward, right? But that's the exact idea this incredible story forces us to think about. So, first up, a lesson in trust. And believe me, this isn't just some old kid's story. It's a deep dive into how our strongest affections, the things we hold most dear, can sometimes become our biggest vulnerabilities. What's wild is that the story basically gives you the punchline right up front with this verse. It's telling us that danger doesn't always show up looking like an enemy. Sometimes it comes from the one place you'd never, ever expect it. That's a pretty startling way to begin, don't you think? So, where does this all come from? Well, the story is set in the ancient city of Benares, and it was told by the Bodhisattva, that's the Buddha in a previous life. Back then, he was a really wise merchant who told stories like this, not just for entertainment, but to teach these huge lessons about life. All right, let's get into the story itself. Meet our main character, a creature so powerful its only real weakness was its own heart. The story kicks off with a very real-world problem. You've got this magnificent, powerful lion living near the merchant's herd of cattle. And, as you could imagine, the cows were absolutely terrified. They were on edge all the time. And that constant fear really started to cause problems. And for the merchant, this was a huge issue for his bottom line. The cows were so stressed out that they were getting thin and their milk was becoming watery. Now, being a wise man, he knew he couldn't just go fight a lion. He had to think of a smarter solution. So the merchant didn't grab a spear. He used his brain. He asked his cowherd, "Hey, does this lion have any attachments? Anything it loves?" And the answer was a big yes. For all its strength, for all the fear it inspired, the lion had one profound weakness. It was deeply in love with a particular doe. And just like that, the merchant had the key to taking down the lion. And it wasn't a weapon. It was the lion's own heart. This little piece of information, well, it leads to a seriously cunning and vicious plan. And this is where it gets really cold and calculated. The merchant realizes that the lion's love isn't just a weakness, it's an opening. The trust, the affection the lion has for this doe, that's what he's going to use to destroy it. It's a chillingly brilliant strategy. And listen to how precise, how methodically cruel this plan is. Step 1, you capture the doe. Step 2, you cover her fur in a powerful poison. Step 3, you let it dry for a few days so it's totally invisible. And the final, terrible step, you set her free, sending her right back to the lion, who's going to be nothing but overjoyed to see her. Okay, so the stage is set, the trap is laid. Now all that's left is for the lion's own affection to do the deadly work. The cowherd follows his master's orders perfectly. He gets the doe, puts the poison on her, and lets her go. And she, of course, has no idea. She's just an animal returning to the one she feels safe with, completely unaware that she's become a walking weapon. Can you just picture that moment? The lion sees his beloved doe coming back, safe and sound. He's not suspicious, he's not afraid, he's just filled with pure, absolute joy and love. He has zero reason to think this is anything but a wonderful reunion. So in this beautiful gesture of love and greeting, the lion starts to lick her fur. It's the most natural, trusting thing in the world for them to do. And in that very act, he's consuming the deadly poison, completely sealing his own fate. And that's the ultimate tragedy of it all, isn't it? It wasn't a spear or a fight that killed this mighty lion. It was love. In one single, unguarded moment of affection, the great beast died. Wow. That's a heavy story, I know. But its whole purpose is to teach us something important. So the question is, how does this ancient tragedy give us some wisdom for our lives today? Now, the takeaway here is not to become paranoid or to stop trusting everyone. It's about mindfulness. It's about learning to pause and really look at things as they are, instead of just running on autopilot, on habit, or even on our deepest feelings. And
The original reason this story was told is pretty fascinating. The Buddhist shared it with his monks because they were just sort of mindlessly accepting food and gifts from their families, assuming, hey, it's from family, it must be fine. He was trying to teach them that even with the people you love most, you need to have a thoughtful, aware approach.
So, what can we, you and I, actually take away from the lion's story? Well, first, it's about being aware, not afraid. It's about valuing wisdom more than blind faith. It's understanding that mindfulness makes even our best relationships stronger. It's about protecting yourself, not with big walls of fear, but with a gentle awareness.
And that really brings us to the final question for you to think about. Look at your own life, your relationships, your habits, the things you just assume are true. Where could you use a little less automatic trust and a little more conscious wisdom? It might just bring you more safety, clarity, and peace.
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. It's amazing how these ancient stories can still guide us so clearly today. May you all be happy.